This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to an extended version of the Week in Review, and it is Monday, February 27th, 2023, and I haven't seen anything that has happened on Monday Night Raw. The full Raw review, as always, is coming to you tomorrow night, so if you're wondering, why are you not covering Raw? Well, I haven't seen it. I watch it on delay, so everything I talk about is going to be primarily focused on SmackDown. The reason I'm doing this is that Anthony DeMarco and I, in our hour or so that we talked last night on our Week in Review, didn't cover all the topics I wanted to get to simply because of time restrictions, and him and I go down rabbit holes that often we don't come out of. So that is the purpose of this. As promised, I'm going to do a bit of an extended, not lengthy, I don't think, but although we'll see by the time this is over, a bit more of filling in the gaps from this past week of my thoughts going into the now near 4 weeks till WrestleMania, which is just insane. So again, we covered, if you listen to our show, we covered a lot of Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, and even some of the women's tag team division as well, a little bit on Bray Wyatt. So I'm going to cover the things we didn't talk about or didn't talk about at the length that I wanted because of our time restrictions. So, and by the way, if you guys want to hear more of us and you want to hear more of us during the week or longer shows or whatever the case is, or maybe have us talk about different topics, send an email to the show, realwwepodcast@gmail.com or mailbag@wwepodcast.com. Both I do answer. And if you want to hear more of us, just pretty much tell me that way. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Or I guess Twitter at wrestling_audio. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what happened here on SmackDown. And the, let's see, what do I want to start? Kofi Kingston and LA Knight. So Kofi Kingston defeats LA Knight after Trouble in Paradise, which was really because of a distraction from Xavier Woods. Now, I have nothing bad to say about Xavier Woods or Kofi inside the ring. You guys know that I'm not a fan of their antics that they have been doing for the last 8 years. It's no secret. It's not my favorite at all. But inside the ring, Kofi Kingston still proves all these years later that he is good to no, not even good. He's very good in the ring. And LA Knight getting the loss here is a bit of a surprise. The reason I say that is not my bias of disliking Kofi on a very just organic, raw level. Every part of me hates his character, but the fact that LA Knight hasn't got a real victory to hang his hat on, and at the same time has done such a magnificent job on the microphone, getting over even in these losses, is a credit to LA Knight. But also, what the hell is creative doing here? Why would you elevate Kofi Kingston over LA Knight? LA Knight needs that victory way more than Kofi Kingston does. Kofi Kingston could go on a 3-year losing streak, and his Hall of Fame induction is set in stone. There's nothing they could do to Kofi at this point that would tarnish his career. So I was very surprised by that. Plus, they're always trying to build new talent, right? They're always trying to find the new star, find that next star. How are you going to do that with LA Knight continuing to lose? I'm not following. The match itself was fine. No problems. You know, winning a Trouble in Paradise, that's fine with me. Their promos against one another were fine, at the beginning. And LA Knight, though, talking about how if they stop playing video games, all that. We've been down that road before. That insult has been flung their way before. So it wasn't anything new or revolutionary that LA Knight insulted the New Day with. But I doubt that this is going to be a long-standing program with LA Knight and the New Day. My thought moving forward is perhaps LA Knight does go on a vengeance tour with the New Day and maybe some help from someone else. And then that's when Big E comes back and Big E and LA Knight have a match at Mania. Just a thought. If Big E has been injured for, my God, 8 months now, longer. It's been maybe longer than that. It feels like that Big E has been gone for like 2 years. And I think LA Knight, Big E, while it's a very cold match in my mind, I could see them building towards something like that. So LA Knight, Big E, maybe that's where they're going. Maybe they're not. I have no idea what they're doing with LA Knight at Mania. But my hope is, though, LA Knight actually gets a victory. That'd be nice. Santos Escobar told Rey Mysterio how much he respects him, and that led to a confrontation between Rey Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley that was fun to watch. And having Dominic continue to reference his prison stay, which lasted about an hour in county jail, right? And just trying to be a tough guy, talking about how when people ran their mouths, we dealt with them, and his block and all that. And I don't know if anybody else noticed this. My favorite part of this, of course, was the Dominic prison references. And I like how they're not overdoing it. They're doing it just enough to make it still entertaining. Even beyond that, I don't know if anyone noticed the teardrop tattoo on his face. That is just the icing on the cake. It's subtle, but it's impactful and it's hilarious. I don't know if anyone right now, outside of Roman Reigns and Dominic, generate more heat. Dominic is an instant heat magnet. And he's acting like this tough guy, but when push comes to shove and he has no backup, you know what he's going to do. Tuck his tail between his legs and run. But you still want to see somebody just destroy him. Michael Cole has been very vocal about somebody needing to just punch the kid in the face. Michael Cole has been the most aggressive that I've ever heard him on commentary, at least the most explicit when it comes to wanting a talent or wanting to see a talent get their ass handed to them. I've never heard Michael Cole talk like this about a star, and it is fun to hear because I agree with him, and it's a great storyline all around for everybody involved, specifically Rey and Rhea. Now, would I have liked Rhea Ripley and Charlotte to actually go face to face and have a promo? Yes. Could they still do that before Mania? Of course. Lots of TV time to fill. But with Rhea Ripley literally just going face to face, but no promo. I mean, the promo when you hear the phrase, they're going to go face to face, promo is implied. And yet it was all about Rey Mysterio and his uncomfortable relationship with Rhea that he was revealing to Charlotte. Charlotte was getting more uncomfortable and talking about how she has her own man at home, referring to Andrade, right? And so, that was a fun segment. Kind of awkward at times, but I'm really ready to get to Rhea and Charlotte face to face. I like the mommy role. The mommy role is got a much more tread left on the tire. It's a fun role for Rhea, but also annoying and awkward at the same time, and awkward in a good way with the dynamic of Rey and Rhea. But I want her to get into serious mode. I want Rhea Ripley, the Rhea Ripley that concertoed Beth Phoenix in front of Edge after Edge complied with the demands of the New Day to say I quit, and still slammed Beth Phoenix's skull between the steel anyway. That's the Rhea Ripley I want. And if she doesn't win at Mania, she's got to be a heavy favorite, but if she doesn't win, I think that's going to turn Charlotte heel instantly. And you're probably going to hear already at Mania a lot of cheers for Rhea Ripley. I think the Mania crowd sees what's coming. They appreciate the work that Rhea has done over the last year with the Judgment Day. They are ready for a change. They're ready for a new queen, no pun intended. They're ready for that new blood to take over, specifically on SmackDown. So I think if Charlotte wins, she's instantly going to turn heel. If she doesn't win, then they're still going to probably boo her in the match, but at least you won't turn Charlotte heel if that's not the goal. So Rhea Ripley right now, I think, is a heavy favorite to win, and she should be. This is one of those deals that I am of the belief that it's predictable, but it's necessary. There's no need to swerve. So I'm all for it. All right. McIntyre also was a part of SmackDown, a small part of SmackDown. He tried to confront Imperium after their match with Madcap Moss, Braun Strowman, and Ricochet, but he was attacked by the Viking Raiders. That led to Sheamus coming out. Eventually, they were all beat down by the Viking Raiders. This was fine with me because it has continued to elevate the Viking Raiders to a place I never thought they could get to. Specifically, when I think about where they were during the pandemic of being a joke. Even after that, it took them a while to really feel like they were legitimate, and they have just put them into badass mode. And I love this version of the Viking Raiders. They may not talk a lot, and I'd like to see a little bit more on the mic from them. But even if they don't, I think that they are a very nice heel tag team in the division, one that's desperately needed, and having them beat down McIntyre, Sheamus, and Strowman, and Ricochet, all credible opponents. Even though this wasn't a match they were involved in, still standing tall was impactful. And it told you, I think, where McIntyre and Sheamus are going when it comes to WrestleMania. And I don't know if it's going to be some kind of multi-tag match with having Ricochet and Strowman as one team, McIntyre and Sheamus in another, and then Viking Raiders in a third, as in a triple threat tag team match. But if that happens, then what's on the line? WWE seems to always have to have something on the line, and with the tag team championships held by the Usos, presumably facing Kevin Owens and Sami, where does that leave these other three teams? Fighting for pride in a triple threat? I don't know. Maybe they'll make it a fatal 5-way tag team match. I'm joking, half joking. But really, I mean, when you have these three teams and you potentially want to put them together in a triple threat, what's at stake if that's the direction they're going? I don't know. Maybe it's just a number one. Actually, you know what I'm thinking? If I was in charge, here's what I would do. Why not make the Money in the Bank equivalent for tag teams? Meaning these three are in a triple threat tag team ladder match, Money in the Bank match. And at the top of that ladder is a briefcase where you can cash in at any time as a tag team. Why not? I'm not saying to make this for every championship. Okay. No, I'm not proposing a Money in the Bank style cash in and match for the Intercontinental in the US. No, I'm not. But it's just a thought. I don't think they'll go that road only because they now have a dedicated pay-per-view to Money in the Bank, and for them to do this here at Mania wouldn't make a sense if they were going to have a Money in the Bank event. But it's just a thought. There does need to be something on the line, I think. It could just be a number one contendership. I mean, not super high stakes there, but something. All right, but the other thing is, a note on McIntyre. He didn't get much of a reaction when he came out. Now, he didn't, to be fair, didn't come out to his entrance music, which does generate a decent pop almost every time. And the chemistry with Sheamus certainly is there. And what would be interesting to me is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus McIntyre and Sheamus. Both are McIntyre and Sheamus being best friends in real life, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens being best friends in real life, and how long they've all known each other. It'd be fascinating. I think at some point you could do that. I'm not saying at Mania because clearly the storyline with Kevin and Sami is going to be the Usos. But McIntyre coming out was weird, and you think back to where he was at Mania just a couple years ago in the main event, and Brock Lesnar, and the match he had at the silent WrestleMania 36. You just think about all that, and it's like, man, McIntyre has he's I hate to say fallen, but if you're going to be accurate, he has. I'm not concerned for his career. You can plug and play him in a main event at any time. The fans genuinely like him. So it's just interesting, though, when you think back over the last just couple years of where McIntyre was. All right. What else? What else happened? Oh, Shayna Baszler took out Natalya via submission after the cross armbar. Ronda Rousey and Tegan Nox had a conversation post-match, and Tegan ended up, I think she ended up throwing Ronda out of the ring or just hitting her with a slap or a punch or something. Ronda getting all angry and who are you and all this stuff. So it gives Tegan Nox the most relevant role of her career, even if it's in kind of a side role right now. But this match here, I thought, with Shayna and Natalya was fine. I feel like I'm saying that all the time, but you very rarely have a bad match anymore because everyone is just so well trained and you know what kind of match you're going to get. It's hard to call anything bad. But Shayna Baszler and Natalya was fun, and Natalya with her new look, I like Natalya's new look, her hair, her outfit. She's got a nice refresh, and boy, I didn't know I needed it until I've seen her, do that. And I'm like, wow, like that was needed, and I didn't even think it was. So, Shayna Baszler, though, coming out to Ronda Rousey's music was insulting. I know it's a small thing, I think, but if I'm in a tag team, but I'm the one having the match and we still have separate entrance themes because we're a newly formed team, I would not expect to come out to my partner's music when I'm the one having a singles match. I understand if they're in a tag team, you choose the entrance theme that gets the biggest reaction and is associated with the quote-unquote bigger star. And that in that case, sure. I mean, you would introduce them under Ronda Rousey's music. That's fine. We've seen that 100 times. But my issue is just with Shayna having a singles match, simply because Ronda's walking out with her, we play Ronda's music? That was a miscue. I didn't enjoy that at all. I really didn't. I thought that was a slap in the face to Shayna Baszler. For real. Not in storyline. But Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, I think at some point are going to split. Not till after WrestleMania. It's there's a lot of things coming up after Mania that we'll have to do a show on at some point to talk about, and I think this is one of them. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey in a match at some point, but again, probably a couple months away. They're clearly trying to just manufacture the tag teams out of nowhere again for the women, right? I mean, you have Tegan Nox and Natalya suddenly teaming up together, and Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. And then Lita coming back on Raw to team with Becky Lynch. And, then you have Damage Control. Suddenly, wow, a division exists around WrestleMania. I'm sure it's just coincidence, though. Totally just circumstantial. That's all it is. Of course, I'm being facetious. If you could see my face, I'm rolling my eyes because this is what they do every year. They manufacture a tag team to make it look like there's a division and that there's actually respect in the tag titles instead of just going unopposed the other, 11 months out of the year. And you watch, I'm telling you right now, and this happened last year at WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, when presumably, there's a multi-woman tag team title match, 3 of the 4 will just vanish within a month. They'll suddenly not be a team anymore. So, I mean, it's just, I have no problem with the women's tag team division. But if you're going to do it. It feels like Vince is back in charge. It feels like Vince is there the way that the women's tag team belts are being treated. Because it's the exact same. It's the same old, same old. No respect. Until it's WrestleMania season, and then suddenly there has to, magically out of the ground, they grow 4 tag teams. Yeah, it's embarrassing. So I've got nothing else to say about that. It's embarrassing, not because of the teams themselves. I mean, you got some legitimate stars in these teams, and there'll be some fun moments with Ronda and Becky, when they get tagged in this, again, presumed fatal 4-way women's tag team title match. There'll be some fun new encounters. Maybe Raquel Rodriguez and Bianca Belair come face to face. I mean, or not Bianca Belair. Ronda Rousey again come face to face. Like you could have these mini stories within the match and it'd be fun. It's just the disrespect they have for the women's division as a whole from a tag team perspective that happens so consistently outside of WrestleMania season. It's just inexcusable. You know, either if you have titles, you should have a division before you have titles, first of all. But all right, before I go down that rabbit hole, Bray Wyatt started a really awkward meta version of Firefly Funhouse. I went over this with Anthony, and my opinion hasn't changed. I have no idea what the hell Bray Wyatt's doing anymore. As we have said, he is intriguing. He is a talent. Is he the best in-ring worker? No, he's not. That's a fact. But his character and his poise and his magneticism, if that's a word, on screen when he's speaking or whatever he's doing, it's tangible. It's undeniable, to steal a phrase from Cody. It is. But at some point, you're going to have to deliver on the story. And I think right now, they are losing people along the way. At least from a kind of tune it out, give me the cliff notes of whatever he did. Because everything I see, 95% of it, I have no idea what he's talking about or what he's doing. And if he thinks that most fans are putting in the effort to go through frame by frame of flashes of images and trying to decode everything, 98% of us or more are not doing that. We're not. And some of you are enthralled with all this. That's not the way my brain works. I need a simpler storyline. It doesn't need to be elementary, laughably simplified, but just from a normal storytelling perspective that you would see on any TV show. And this is just, it's a perfect phrase from LA Knight. It's gobbledygook. And I don't have time to sift through gobbledygook. You may, and if you're one of those people, wonderful. Seriously, good for you. But most of us look at this and go, intriguing, I'm watching, this is cool. But then when he's done with that, whatever he's doing, you're going, what was that? And we can't come away every single Bray Wyatt segment saying that. If it happens every once in a while, where we come out of it and go, I don't know what he said, but that was awesome, fine. You know, like there's that old adage of leave them with more questions than answers. But when you have no answers on all questions, or even worse, when you stop wanting to ask the questions, you've lost them. And I think he's on the verge of that. And he's doing things left, right, center, diagonal, backwards. Like, it's just, I don't even know what the payoff is anymore. When you think about Bray Wyatt, what are we looking towards? What are we looking forward to? The identity of Uncle Howdy? I think that's kind of gone by the wayside. I think Uncle Howdy's identity is the anticipation for that has cooled down significantly. I know I'm not that interested anymore. If it's Bo Dallas, wonderful. I mean, I don't even care anymore. Not that I don't care about Bray Wyatt or what he's doing. I want to be clear because I think he's a really good talent and he's a hell of a promo because of his poise and the way he delivers things. I just think he needs to simplify. And that's a word that I'm sure is an oxymoron with the name Bray Wyatt. And I don't even know if Bray Wyatt knows what that word means because I know he's a super deep guy and all this, whatever. But at some point you have to come back down to earth. And I want Bray Wyatt to come back down to earth. And not every match has to be a gimmick. Not every time he has a promo needs to have special lighting. He becomes like a parody of himself. He becomes too much of a quote unquote wrestling character when you do all these special effects all the time. And then you don't deliver on match quality, which is what happened with LA Knight. It's fixable. It's doable. He's a big star, excellent talent. But I think they're starting to lose the audience. And I don't even care what he did this past week with the Firefly Funhouse. I see flashes of things, and he's sitting in the back on a monitor watching his own program with glasses on like he's Vince or something. I think that was the implication. I don't know. I just, I don't have time, nor do I really even care. You know, I don't know what the payoff is. I have no idea where they're leading. I've kind of given up that effort in my mind. I don't have enough space in my brain. So, all right. Oh boy. What else have I think that might have done it? The Dominic Mysterio provoking his father, all that. And at the end with Jimmy attacking Sammy, we went over that, I believe, with our review last night, weekend review. Jay, I still don't know where he stands. Next week, Roman Reigns will be on SmackDown. I love how they're saying he's returning. Roman Reigns returns. Is a return now defined by if you take a week off? It's a return? Is it just marketing? I mean, I guess it's a return, but if you're going to use that as a definition of, or really what the true definition of return is, you could say anyone returns to SmackDown. Anyone that was on this week, you could say returns to SmackDown. You could have said Jimmy Uso returns to SmackDown next week. Like, yeah, but I know what they're doing. It's marketing. I guess it's a return, whatever. But it's smart because they're trying to make anytime Roman's on TV a big deal. And I'm for that. Fine. It's just funny with the words and phrasing they use sometimes. Now, last thing I'll talk about is, speaking of Roman Reigns, apparently this is breaking as of, again, I'm recording just as Raw is about to be over with. And again, I have not seen a single thing on Raw as of this moment. But the word is that Roman's going to be taking a significant amount of time off from WWE. That's the latest news. Now, how much truth there is into that, if it's just the old reporting and then, you know, things get countered 5 minutes later, which has been happening a lot with WWE news lately, where you hear something massive and then 5 minutes later, the exact opposite news comes out. It's so bizarre right now. But if that holds true, that Roman is indeed slated for a longer period of absence from WWE, that, if that's true, makes me concerned that he'll drop the belts at Mania, where Roman loses and then goes into hiding. He goes MIA, AWOL, and you're wondering, where the hell is Roman? What is he going to do? What is he going to say when he returns without the belts? And he gets, a few months off, returns in the early midsummer. If that's the case, again, guys, this is me just projecting outwards if this report is true. And if it is, that leads you to believe that Roman is going to be dropping the belts at WrestleMania. So there's that. Let me know what you guys think, though. If Roman is indeed slated to take time off, what do you think this could mean for WrestleMania? Does he drop the belts? Do they just push him past the 1,000 days and then have him take time off? I mean, who knows? Because what they can't do, well, I say can't, but they've almost done this before, is Roman retain the championships and then just go missing from, mid-April to, early June. Like, take 2 months off, whatever. You can't do that. I mean, we're used to an absentee champion, but that would be egregious, where Roman just doesn't even show up for like 8 weeks or something. So again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but those are the latest reports, are that Roman is slated to take time off. So we will see. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the show, you can do that by giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can also give us some support on Patreon and get ad-free at patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Or you can go on Apple Podcasts and hit that ad-free button, and there's a 1-week free trial. So if you want to know what ad-free listening is like, but not worry about any commitment, there's an ad-free 1-week free trial on Apple Podcasts. So that is going to do it for me tonight. Again, guys, tomorrow is the Raw review. So whatever happens on Raw tonight will be reviewed by yours truly tomorrow. And then Wednesday is the mailbag, and you can contribute by sending your email to mailbag@wwepodcast.com or calling the number that's in the description notes of every mailbag episode. And then that's it for me. I mean, again, we'll be 4 weeks out pretty soon, and I am going to Florida in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be for 4 days. So it's like a Thursday to a Monday. So what that means is I'm going to still be able to post. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any actual recording. So like the Monday night or the weekend review on Sunday, and maybe even the current state of WWE on Monday for the 20th and 21st of March, I may or may not be able to do. But we'll see. I'll still be able to post anything that my team sends me. I'll be posting, but more information to come. It's a couple weeks away. So thank you, everybody, as always, for listening. I really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.